quickly, before you go on to the lessons, this is the kind of thing we're going to build, by the way. Let me refresh this. A nice landing page just like this for an AI to-do list application, right, with simple pricing. Now, once you go into the website or into the app, you'll get this where you can then speak using AI. It'll create some tasks. You can then select them, etc., move them around. And also, there's going to be a calendar section where we can focus on like today's tasks, and then also a way to collapse it like this. So just before you go in to start building this, a kind of word of what it's going to look like in the end up, because sometimes it can be disheartening to see what V0 looks like, and even V1. But trust me, they get a lot better, and it can get better exponentially when you just start adding features that you actually want. And honestly, the UI is like 90% of how good an app looks and feels. Is just how good the UI is. But yeah, and don't worry, I'll give you the exact prompt that I'm going to use to actually create landing pages like this and like this, which I think are really cool with animations on them as well. But yeah, so just also to note, I'm building this to-do list app. This was actually just a like to-do list app. You're not making one. Follow along using whatever it is your idea is. It's just the essence of I had to choose an idea to follow along with. So at home, don't follow along making a to-do list app unless that's what you really want, unless you're passionate about to-do list apps. Kind of like me, to be fair, here. But yeah, do your own app and just follow along with the process. Of course, any questions, DM me or head to the community and send a post in there. First things first, your idea. So your idea might be good, might be rubbish. You might not even have one. In this short video, we'll figure out the proper idea for you. So there are three main ways to find an idea. And your idea, if you already have it, will be one of these. Either it's a problem inside of your own life, so something you do on the day to day. Now, to be aware of here is that it doesn't have to be digital. So, for example, you can have a digital solution to a non-digital problem, i.e., I have my notepad here, I keep all my to-do list stuff on here, because I've never found a digital product that quite matches the type of to-do list that I do. But today we're going to try and build one. And so this is a digital solution to this non-digital problem, a real problem in my life. Now, another example is, like a YouTube channel roaster, something that is just cool. Because I think even if you just want to do something, if it seems cool, that's a totally valid reason to do it. Why? Because building, i.e., doing, is better than anything else. Doing now, today, is better than planning for tomorrow. Trust me. That's literally how I built my entire YouTube channel. Finally, if you can't think of anything at all, go to the App Store, because sometimes you can't think of anything. Go to the App Store and just find something boring that works. Now, the important thing here is that you want to copy the problem, not the UI. So don't go find an app and say, rebuild this app. It's find the problem that this app is solving, and only then you want to create an app that solves that problem. And something interesting about AI is although it can do, anything, in air quotes, really an application that you develop, it kind of unveils itself as you develop it. Even if you have a core problem, the app itself will develop as you develop it. So that's how to find ideas. And a good, interesting way to do this here is basically go to ChatGPT, or in my case, go to Claude, and you can say stuff like, where did I go here? Blah, blah, blah. So I say, based on how you know me, let's see, right. What do you think given what you know of me? And it's given me a couple of things. And this content calendar sparked something in my brain where I was like, oh, to-do list app, that's a good idea. And then I've just said, give me a simple TLDR, which means like a short version of the thing. So give me a simple summary and an initial prompt to get this going. And then boom, here we have something here that we can just get started with. So, come back here. That's the ways to find an idea. Let me delete that. You have your idea. Now, is it a good idea to do this idea? First of all, is it too broad? So, for example, mine's is a to-do list. I would argue this is not too broad. But if I said something like, I want to be more efficient with my time, you're like, what the heck are you talking about? And also, not just this kind of vagueness, but the broadness as well. And you don't want to be trying to solve too many problems. So, for example, YouTuber Systems, my SaaS that I'm building right now, I actually have Claude building it on the other screen, is that YouTuber Systems started as simply a competitor analysis tool that I was building for myself, which I then thought, oh, hey, I could actually make multiple features all come in here and solve this problem. And it's just a wider problem. But if it's too broad, especially for your first couple of apps, don't do it. Secondly, if it needs 20 features to work, kill it. YouTuber Systems would work even as a competitor analysis tool. But if I needed all 4 of the tracking, researching, scripting, and packaging, if that all had to be all 4 of these were required to work, that's maybe too many features. You really want one problem with one core feature that solves that one problem. Next, if you can't explain it to a mate in one sentence, kill it. So, you really want to be thinking in this way when you're talking about stuff. It's always the best way to go about teaching things like this or making YouTube videos as well, is try to explain things as if you're talking to a mate. Because otherwise, it's going to be too complex and you're going to get lost in it. So, for example, this here is going to be something like, let's see, it's a to-do list app. That's a bit of a mouthful, that, but my TLDR in my mind is it's time blocks. Basically, it's a to-do list app that you can keep adding to, and then if you don't finish it today, it will show up on your to-do list tomorrow. Now, that's a good succinct way of doing it. But if you can't explain it to a mate like that, if it's going to take too long, well, it's kind of like this, don't do that one. Unless you really, really want to, but I'd suggest not doing it. So, as I'll keep reiterating here, pick one problem. Do the thing. It's just like any business. Like when I started this school, I've already made a few schools before, and they never really solved one problem. They were just like me teaching stuff. Whereas this one is seeking to solve one problem. So do one thing for one person at one time. That's a nice way to think about it. In the same way here, it's like just do one thing. So this, to-do lists. This, YouTube videos, which is more than one thing, kind of. But it's basically one thing. And if you genuinely can't think of anything, here's 5 starter ideas. So I put this in here actually to make myself think on the spot how we can do this here. But basically, I think go to ChatGPT is the number one way. But if we can't think of anything, let's just brainstorm. So number 1, a to-do list. Why? Because your to-do list might be different than mine. You want AI to help you time block it and plan it against your calendar and read your emails and create to-do lists based on that. There you go. It's one problem, but your solution is completely different. Another one is something like, let me think. Haircuts. This is relevant to me, kind of, for my beard. Would I look good in different haircuts? So you can have an app where basically you put in a picture of you and it changes your haircut to see which suits you best. Another one, based on that same thing, is like a virtual try-on. So basically here is you add some clothes and a picture of you, or add some clothes and you in real time, and then you can try clothes on just using your phone or your webcam. There's another good one. Right, this is really getting tricky now. So 2 other startup ideas. Let me see. Let me think. Something AI. Oh, one I used to have for years. One Messenger. So basically, instead of having to go through WhatsApp, through whatever else people use, WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, your phone, all of these things, one messenger application where all of your messages are there, and that's it. And then you could also have real pics, where essentially this one is like every picture has to come natively from the camera on your phone, so it's to reduce the amount of AI slop on this site. So there's a bunch of kind of problems, right? And what problems are they solving? So this is to-do list. I need to do stuff. That kind of haircut. I need to get my haircut. What should I get? Virtual try-on. Should I buy this stuff? Real pics. I'm sick of AI stuff. And one messenger. I'm sick of having a bunch of apps. And that's roughly it. Anyway, let me know what you're building in the community. Go and send a post in and let me know what you're going to build. So let's go and get started with our little Claude app here. So you want Claude Code on? Well, it's super easy to download and to use. All we have to do is come over here to the link, which will be below, to set up Claude Code. If we scroll down to installation, and I know Claude Code, their website looks a bit intimidating, but it's very simple. You have a couple of ways to get it. Basically, use the native install. This is essentially a command which just downloads the file here. So this install file from the Claude website, it goes and downloads that basically. So you can just copy this if you're on Mac or Linux. If you're using PowerShell, use this one. So if you're a Windows computer, we're going to use Terminal on our Mac. So we're going to use the top one, copy that. We'll come over here. Let me just get out of that and clear the terminal. To get terminal, search terminal, PowerShell, search PowerShell, paste that in, press enter, and it will go away and it will download Claude from there. It will go and make sure to get the latest version, bring it back to your computer, set it up, install it, blah blah blah, boom, there you go. Super fast. Now to use Claude, all you have to do is write Claude. And then it will start up in this folder. So as you can see here, it wants to access this workspace, users/my name. So if you want to work in here, you want it to actually do things, you can say, yes, I trust this folder. If you do no exit, it won't be able to interact with any of your files. So you say, yes, I trust this folder, and boom, I am now in here. Now you'll see that I am logged in. I'm using this subscription. This is the model, and this is the folder that I'm in. Now you won't be logged in, so / login. So / is how you get through commands in here. So / login, press enter, and there's 3 ways you can do this. Now you can do it either with your subscription, so that's like just your normal billing like this. I'm on Max, but I used to be on Pro. I stopped because I was using Claude Code so much that I was actually reaching the limits pretty fast. So I changed over to Max and I've never had to worry about it since. And I have my code agent essentially running, oh man, like 10 hours a day, probably something crazy like that. And I've never run out of usage, because you get a specific set amount of usage, which I'll show you now, I suppose. But Pro will be enough to do this, but Max is for if you really want to be, continually doing this and doing it all the time. So if we go to Claude, and I'll open up this, and go to settings, I always find it hard to find this, usage. So you can see it's pretty hard to understand here. Basically, you have a current session, resets in 48 minutes, so this is a number of hours long, like 5 hours. Then you have your weekly limit, so all of your models, you have a limit, and Sonnet only, you have a specific limit. So you can see mine for the week is 33% so far. It's actually quite a lot because I've been using it non-stop. And then extra usage as well. So if you want to use more when you don't have the capacity, you can use this extra money that you add in. This current balance, I got that. It was like a discount basically when they released the latest model. They said, just take this free money. So I was like, nice. So if we come back here, you can do that, or you can use their API if you want, or a third party. So if you have another provider who is providing Claude models, you can use that. I would use my subscription and then log in. But I'm going to get out of this because I'm already logged in by pressing Control-C, Control-C again, and I'm out, and there we go. So I'm here now inside of Claude. And it's literally that simple to set up. Now from here, you could do the rest of the AI to app just straight from here. You don't have to download VS Code. But I like VS Code so that I can understand the files that it's touching, pretty much. I don't worry about the code, but the files I like to see. So in the next lesson, let me Control C to exit, or you can / exit, and that's me out, and then we'll clear, boom. And it's that simple to get Claude Code. Now a little snippet on what Claude Code actually does, because I think it's kind of it's understood that it works for coding, which it does, and it is optimized for coding, but essentially it's just like having Claude like this, but running directly from your terminal. And what's a terminal? It's simply a way to interface with your computer, so the actual hardware in your computer, to talk to that without having to click on the screen. And that's all it really is. So anyway, let's go and download Visual Studio Code so we can actually set up our environment where we're going to start using Claude Code. So VS Code, or Visual Studio Code, is an AI code editor. It's really just a code editor. They've just thrown a bit of AI in. We're going to use it just simply as a code editor. So all you have to do is go to this URL, which will be linked below, and then you can just click download for your platform. If we go to other platforms, we can see the different ones here. Now, I don't know what's happened to I think the CSS. So it's Tailwind, if you recall us talking about that a minute ago, that seems to not be working on Visual Studio Code right now. But anyway, you download that and then you open it up. And when you open it up, this is what you will see. So what are you looking at? What do you actually need to know here? Well, I'll just talk you through how to get your file opened up here, and that will be kind of enough for you to understand what's happening. So on the left hand side, we have a bunch of icons. You won't have some of them because these are extensions basically. If I click on here, you can see we can open a folder. So if I click on open folder, it will then basically give us a list of folders that we can use to open up. So what we'll do is we'll go to documents. Let's create a new folder. In this new folder, we'll call it, what was it, time blocks. Click create, and then click open. And now we have this editor workspace within this specific folder. We'll just, yes, I trust the authors. Cool, so now we're here. Let me close this right hand side. This is, an agent. Don't need to worry about that. Claude Code you can actually download directly inside VS Code under the extensions. I have it here. I'll tell you how to do that in a minute if you want to do it, but I prefer to use terminal. There you go, you can see it here. But yeah, let me get rid of that. Oops. Close these down. So basically what you're looking at is settings along the left hand side. This is your file explorer. You can add new files like this, new folders like this, and then you'll see them all here. Now this terminal, like this here for Claude Code, the way we get that directly in here is up the top, go to terminal, new terminal, and you can see it's down here at the bottom. So the first thing I want to do is I actually want to move my file that I downloaded directly into this repository or this folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to MV means move a file. You don't have to do this, you can go drag and drop if you want, but just so you can get familiarized with the terminal, because it's good to know a little bit, because I only know a little bit's enough. So move ... /... Right, there we go. So are we here now? There we go, downloads. And the way I'm getting all of these options to come up is by pressing the tab key. Now for context, what these two dots do is they say move up a file directory. So basically, let me open up a quick Excalidraw, like I like to do. And basically if you have a folder, so say folder 1, and then inside that folder you have some folder 2, and inside that folder you have, some picture. Now if I'm opening my terminal whilst I'm inside this folder here, if I go ... that's me referring to the one up. but if I do just a single dot, that's me referring to myself. So what it allows us to do is here we'll say move up 2 folders, go into downloads, and then the file that I want to get, let's check what it's called. So if I go to downloads here again, it's called time blocks 1. So I'll start writing that, then press tab, time blocks, tab again, time blocks 1, and I want to move that to here, so I'll press dot, and boom. Now we can see that this file has appeared, which is the actual file that we downloaded. So let me right clear so we can see again. There we go. Very nice. So we now have VS Code downloaded, and we have our file moved inside of this folder. We have our terminal. Let me give you another quick preview of what these are before we move on to actually building this out. If you want to skip this bit, feel free. But basically, here you can search stuff in files. So let's say health, you can see they pop up here, and I can select them. Comes over here. This one is source control. We'll show you this later on, but basically this allows us to like go back. So it's like version history type of thing. Then run a debug, you don't need to know this or this. Extensions is handy. So this is where you can download extensions. Now extensions can be things that make these go different colors, for example, depending on the coding language that it uses. Or it can be stuff like, if we write Claude, you can see we can download Claude Code for VS Code directly in here. And that's how you can get the chat agent at the side like this. But we don't want that agent. Instead, what we're going to do, and we can shut that down again, we'll go back up to here, is we're going to write Claude down the bottom. And there you go, you pop up. Yes, I trust this folder. And there we go, Claude. So now we're ready to start coding. So let's get Claude to do some work. So instead of writing just Claude, write Claude -- dangerously skip permissions. Now the reason I do this is because otherwise every time it runs any command, it's going to ask you, am I allowed to do this? And you need to say yes. So dangerously skip permissions allows it to do basically anything on any file. So it's dangerous, possibly, but you don't even have an app yet, so don't worry about it. Put that in, and then it will load up Claude, and there we go. So you can see now it has this bypass permissions on. So what we're going to do now, let me open this up because this is going to be our main feature here. Essentially, what we're going to do first is run this init command. Now this init command will create a thing called a claude.md file with codebase documentation. What it does is it reads all the code in here, which is just one file, and then it writes what the code does into this MD. Now an MD file is a markdown file. I'll show you in a minute. Basically, it's like, imagine Word or Google Docs or whatever, and instead of formatting, like highlighting and writing title, you just put a hashtag at the front, and it knows it's a title, and it's literally that simple. So I'll show you in a moment, but it's going to read through this here and then turn it into a document. Why? Because when you shut down Claude, you lose the session, and Claude forgets everything you've talked about. So when you have this Claude file, claude.md, every time it runs and it says welcome back, look, it will then read the claude.md to understand what's going on in your file, your code base. Now, whilst this may seem unimportant here, let me show you just how important it can be. This is my current repo for YouTube or systems, and it has loads of files, and this is not even including the stuff that's like in here and here and here, blah blah blah. So as you can see, there's a ton of files, and you don't want to waste tokens reading that. You want instead to just read the Claude that it's created. So go to here, and we can see it's created this Claude file. This is Markdown, as I was telling you here. So this file provides guidance, project overview, so what it is, what it does. This is no standalone build or run command, blah, 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 de blah, de blah, right? So just what it does, basically. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say, run this, or actually, first of all, And so what we're going to do now is we're going to create some sort of SaaS wrapper. So here you can see we just have one file. And the problem is this file, it shouldn't just run on its own like this. This is not how SaaSes work. So we'll come here and I'm going to paste in this prompt, which I'll have below. But basically it just says, we're turning this into a production-ready SaaS foundation. Please add a proper layout with a nav bar, add a dashboard homepage, create a reusable component structure, improve spacing, typography, and make the UI feel modern and clean. Explain what files you change and why. So we can see Claude's already talking back to us. This is currently a single file. Should I scaffold a full project? And just go, normally here, just go with recommended. So we'll just go recommended, recommended, basically saying go away and just use what you think's best. Because all I want now is, if we look at this Claude.md, is we just want to maintain the same, let me see what it is, config and utilities. Let's see, subcomponents, main components. Really, we just want to maintain, honestly, just this one project thing. The rest of it I'm happy to change right now, because all we want is it to do the same stuff, but oops, I forgot to submit my answers. The same functionality, but it can use whatever tech it wants. And again, we don't have to worry about this here. Shut that down, that doesn't matter. Even this here, we don't even have to worry about that. We can literally just look at this one little bit where it tells you what it's doing. And now don't worry, if you've never used Claude Code, you'll see that here it will go through, like, it will say churning, tell you the amount of tokens, how long it's taken. Then it will say like twiddling its thumbs and relaxing and coding and whatever random stuff that Claude comes up with. But you just let this run now and it'll go away and actually create all this. So I'll come back when it's done. Imagine it will take just a few minutes. But the cool thing here is on your other screen now, or you can just change screens and go do something else and just let it create this structure in the background. And then once it's created this, we'll get it to run it and we can see it running live on your own computer. So it has a plan. Whoops, let's have a look. So there's a bunch of stuff here. Convert this into SaaS Foundation. Now, all of this stuff, you probably don't really need to know any of this stuff. See, unless it has stuff that's going to affect functionality, then that's the only thing you should worry about. So this, for example, here preserves all existing functionality. So it should be good. So for here, just clear the context, bypass permissions, and let it get on with the work. And there we go. Now, a quick side note, if you're wondering why did we even do this in the first place? Well, first of all, it's so that you have something to test before you go and download Claude Code and stuff if you're not familiar. Secondly, it's because, see, to run this here, we couldn't just keep doing these enhancements on the Claude website. Why? Because Claude website only allows you to have single files. So it would have to be a one page or like one file website, which is not ideal. You want it to be a full website. So you can see here it's starting to create pages or files, and there's going to be a bunch of files that it's going to create. Don't get overwhelmed. Again, you don't really have to worry about it that much, but that type of file scaffolding is what's required for a real SaaS to work properly, and you couldn't do that online. So I'll let it finish building these out, and then we'll go and see what it's made. Boom. So there we go. It's gotten back to us now, and all done. So it's created an entire scaffold of the project. Tokens, global styles, configurations. It's created an app shell, calendar page, dashboard, and then here's how we run it. So either we can run it using this command ourselves, or we can tell Claude to go and do it for us if you don't want to touch anything. If we want to do it ourselves, we can just copy that, copy here. Then we can go up to plus, create a new terminal, paste it in here. When it loads, just give it a minute. Paste it in here, and then press enter. Then from here, see it will run. We can go to this localhost, command and click. It's on my other screen, so let me pull it over. And here we go. Let's see. how's time blocks looking? Boom. So tasks today, completion rate, streak. If we go to here, we can see the calendar. Oh, that looks nicer. That's much nicer. So select that, select that, select that. Let's go back to here. Set update, task today, 6, 4 remaining. Hey, oh hey, it's not saving my state. Let me see, is there a save button? No. That's fine, because we can note that, which we'll show you in the next one, how we can actually do that. But cool, so we have like this proper feel now to it that's coming along, where it feels more like a real website rather than just a daft little app. Now, additionally, you can see the last thing I'll show you before we'll leave and finish this section of the project. We can also, by the way, we can just cancel that, Command C, and that'll end, or Control C, sorry. As here you can see, it's updated our Claude file. So our Claude file now reflects the latest of our application, which means when we leave here, so let me say /exit, that's me, out of Claude, we could resume this session by remembering and saving this, or we can just simply leave it, and the next time we run Claude, it will then read this claude.md file where it will get an understanding. Now sometimes it doesn't always do this before or after it makes a bunch of changes, so make sure to always say at the end of your session before you leave, update claude.md, and it'll go and do that for you. So there you go, that's how simple it is to go from a little idea to your first basic idea of an application. So this is basically V1 done. We're now going to, in the next lesson, show you how we can add a couple of frameworks here, so we can say, these are the features we want to add, go and add these features, I found these bugs, go fix these bugs, and it will turn into an agent team that will go away and do that for us. It's time to treat this like a real project. What do real developers do? They normally use a Kanban board, which is this here. Essentially, it's a backlog, a doing, a review, and done. What you want to do, what you are doing, what you're checking if it's working, and what you've done. So we have this in some fashion in a markdown file here, and this will be linked in the lesson plan below, don't worry. And so here we have what we're currently doing, the bugs, so fix ASAP, and then we have priority order. We have 4 priorities. We have critical, this needs done, high, these are missing features of the release, medium, these are things you would want to be done, and then low, these are like, oh, this feature would be cool, and then we have our dones below, and in which session you'd done them. These are like your little sprints, which are like periods of time where you have developers working. That's kind of like that, but for this, and there's just a few notes at the bottom. So, for our Kanban board here, if we open Claude back up down here at the bottom, so Claude, dangerously skip permissions, boom. And what we're going to do is we're going to get it to run the application. We're going to have a little play around, find a couple of problems, and then based on the problems that we get, we're going to then tell it to fix it in the Kanban. And I'm going to give you a prompt for that as well, where we can just add in the things that we want. So let me see. We'll say first, run the app. And it'll go away and run it. Now, one thing to note, if you're on the, I don't know if you can do free plan with Claude Code, but if you're on the low plan, the hobby plan, you're probably best to remember what it is you're supposed to do, so that npm run dev, because the Claude Code, it ends up, it can take a bunch of tokens just to run this, whereas if you run it yourself, it's obviously faster and it's free. So let me command click on this. Let's get this opened up. It's opening up on the wrong screen, so I'll just copy and paste it over here. And there we go. Cool. So this is what we're working with right now. So I'm just going to do a docs.new. I'm going to write down some of the issues that I have. So first of all, let's have a look. So I'll say, firstly, the dashboard is boring. So say dashboard looks boring. And this is what I was saying before, where like you're building out the product as you do. You don't have to have a perfect idea in your mind at first. Most people don't. If you do, well done. You're probably not trying to build your first AI app. You probably built a SaaS before. So we have here dragging stuff around. I notice you can only move things in like our hour increments. Yeah, so you can only move in hour increments. Should be in 5 mins. Another thing, so we'll just get a couple. I think when you select these, it reflects in that progress bar at the top, but then when I go to say here and come back, yeah, it loses state. So we'll say checking items done doesn't save state if you go back to the home screen. So what else do we have here? Let's open this up. Drag stuff over. I say it probably looks too much like a calendar. So I say not enough focus on today. And if we go back here again, let me see. So if we go to today, completed. So the tasks thing down the bottom doesn't do anything. So I'll say this tasks menu on left hand side doesn't work. So there's a bunch of bugs actually. But that's good because we'll just get them to sort it out for us. Add task, let's see if this works. There we go. I'd like to double click to edit task. Should be able to double click to edit the task. Right, so we'll maybe add like one or two more, and that will do us. I think probably another one would be there's no user settings, so there's no like sign in or sign out or anything, but we can cover that in a future module. But I think that's probably enough for now. So I have this prompt. I'm going to share it with you here. So, oops, that's the wrong one. The Kanban one. Let's paste that in here. So we're going to copy this and paste it in as my complaints. And basically we're just saying, you know, this is a real SaaS now. Fix this stuff. If we copy that, and also for context as well, in any of them you can ask, explain to me the changes, or don't, or keep working on this forever. I find a good hack is actually to say like if you wanted to do a bunch of stuff at once, I'm just pasting this in, press enter. But if you wanted to do a bunch of stuff at once, that you just say, I'm going to go away for a couple of hours, or I'm going to go for my dinner and I'll be back soon, this kind of thing. It makes it keep going. Otherwise, sometimes it will run for like a minute or two and it'll come back with a question, which is a nightmare. You want it to run for like 15, 30 minutes if it can, if it's, you know, possibly on its own. So anyway, we'll let this go away and do its thing. And then when it's done, we will paste in another one to tell it to actually get started on it, because this is me just telling it to sort out its Kanban, as we can see. And what we'll do is, after it does this as well, is we shall show you how to create a Claude skill so that this will run all the time. So like every time you talk to it, it will try and run it against the Kanban. Right, there we go. So we'll open up the Kanban. And boom, so we've got a bunch of stuff now. We have critical tasks, high tasks, medium, and there we go. So what's our tasks that we have? Persistent state task. So basically, this is the one where if you go to another page, it disappears. This task filter doesn't work. Dashboard doesn't work. So they're major. Whereas if we go down to like medium, these are auto scroll calendar to current hour, task overflow handling, keyboard shortcuts, quick add. These are things I didn't even actually ask it to do, but that's fine. So the next one we're going to do is send in this here. It'll come up with pasted text, don't worry. We'll paste that in and you can then see it. Kanban, so check the Kanban, start with the highest PO task, implement it properly, update Kanban when done. So it should go away now and work through these here. So I'll come back, I'll pause the recording, I'll come back when it's done, and we'll see how it's looking. Right, so it's done. Let me just tell you kind of what's happening as well in Claude Code in case you're not familiar. It starts to think and then it'll go and check out. So there we go. It starts to do its thinking, comes up with an approach, and then it'll go and add code and change code. This green and the pluses mean it's adding code, negative and or minus, and the red means it is deleting code, normally something like this is because it's changing stuff. Now if we scroll down, there's some more code changes and it will tell you the exact file, which if you click will then, as a command click, will then open it up. And there we go. So because of what we asked it, it's only run this one. But there we go, it's trying to say that this is now done. So we should be able to go and test it out. But first, what I want it to do is I want it to do all of them. So I'll say run through all Kanban items. Come back when complete. Boom. Then it'll go away now and it should work for, if that took like 1 minute for one of them, let's just estimate 5 minutes, say. And then we'll come back and the whole thing should be done. And obviously the cool thing here, just for context, is that this Kanban should be continually updated. When you're going and constantly, consistently using your own application or getting feedback on it, bug reports, whatever it may be, you can then feed that information back into Claude, either by pasting it directly in here somewhere, like as long as it's under something, Claude will find it, or pasting it in here and just saying add this to the Kanban or analyze this. You can also ask Claude to go away and think about cool features it could add, AI features for example, these kind of things. But anyway, we'll let it go away, we'll let it do its thing, and we'll see it in a minute. Right, so it's gone and done it. Now let's check out the URL, refresh it. Aha, right, so I mean, already looks good, doesn't it? Tasks today, 6 for remaining, 20% completion. Review, this is the next thing to do. We can see here today's agenda and what all the tasks are. Little ticks, that looks nice. Already looks much better. If we head here, let's see now. So if we check this, let's get this to 100%. That goes green, that looks cool. If we now go to completed, you can see all of those today, see all of those. All tasks, that's working. Just work, perfect. Head back here now. Tasks today, 6. 0 remaining. Completion rate, 60%. Oh, of all my tasks, I suppose. Fair enough. And today's agenda is completely done. Right, nice. So, I mean, it looks much better already. Now, of course, as I was saying, you can go back and just ask it to change things. But as far as I'm concerned now, this is like... Oh, wait, is it only still got the hour thing? Oh, no, I can move it in my little 5-minute increments. What if I move it all the way up here? Feels a bit weird. Anyway, but as you can see, how easy it is to have these features just implemented straight away. So, the next thing is, if we're going to keep making features like this, what happens if we change it and don't like it? Well, that's what the next lesson is going to be about. GitHub. So let's go on to it. So before we make any more changes here, especially if we're going to make any major ones, we want to store this code somewhere. Somewhere where if we make a change we don't like, we can always revert it back to what it was, like an undo button. Well, that's where GitHub comes in. So GitHub is a repository, essentially, think of it like Google Drive for code. And everyone uses it. I have a bunch of different ones here, as you can see, and I've had a few different profiles across the years. So anyway, we come here to github.com, sign up, and once you've signed up, come to the plus up here. You want to go to new repository, and this will then open up your new repository. So we'll call this time blocks, and there we go. And so we can give it a description if we want, then visibility. I suggest going to private, because if you go public, anyone can, as we see here, anyone on the internet can see it. So go private. Start with template, no thanks. Readme, no. Add a git ignore, no. Add a license, no. So you don't have to worry about any of these. Long and short of it, for some of them, readme is like a description of your project. So when people just come, the first page they'll see is a readme. A license is essentially allows you to say whether people can use this code or not. Git ignore tells Git which files not to track. Git we'll talk about in a minute, but that's essentially what allows for version control. So we'll create this repo, and there we go. Click create repo, and boom. So that's it now. Ordinarily, you could come in here, create a new file, upload your files, etc. But what we're going to do is simply copy this here, because this is your Git here. You can copy that, or let's see, who do we get here? Maybe because it's no files in it, but otherwise there's a bit up here you can use. But we'll just copy that, and all we'll do is go back to our code and we'll say, cool, I've made a new repo for this project. Let's put everything in there and then paste that in. And so now I'm already logged in, so it should be able to just run all this and everything's all right. Let me see. But if it's not, then you see I'll have to log in, but you may have to log in, and it normally comes with a little pop-up, and it's super simple. Let me see, there we go. So it's setting up the repo properly, because obviously nothing's been done. It's literally a completely blank repo. And it'll run a bunch of commands here, stuff that honestly you don't really need to know, but I'm going to show you just so you know, because you need to, it's good to understand at least the fundamentals of what's happening here. So if we come on over here and we go to, I'll go to Excalidraw so I can show you. But basically here, what we've got is, scroll down. I'll zoom in a little bit too, I think. There we go. So we have here the main branch. Now this is main, it's called. Now main is where all of your code is. So this is your main line of code, your main branch. Now whenever you make any changes, you'll branch off of the main and you'll give it a new name. So say this one you'll just call B1 for branch 1. Now when you branch off into branch 1, this now has the copy of the code at this specific time, plus any of the changes that you've made. You'll then across time, so say this is like a time axis, like up here, this is time passing. So then you make changes here, then you get so far in and you go back down and you'll merge back into main, meaning you will then replace main with your new code. So this allows you now to go back. So if you're all the way up here now, you could revert to any of these points in time to get that code. What it also allows for, this type of structure, is if you're running multiple agents, which we could talk about later, is essentially you could then have multiple branches that kind of, work like this and merges back in, doing different things, right? So they can work at the same time, but doing different things, ideally touching different codes, because otherwise you can end up with a conflict where two different agents have tried to make different changes, all the same, to the same file, and then suddenly Git will be like freaking out. Git, by the way, being G-I-T, Git, and that's why you get GitHub, is it's a hub for using Git and storing your code. So anyway, let's head back here. You don't really know how to, you don't need to know how to do it, because you can just let AI do it for you. But there we go, it says now everything is done and is pushed up to here, all the files, single initial commit to main. So a commit, you'll maybe hear a couple of different words. Basically, merge is when you're bringing it back in together here, so that's a merge. Or also you hear it called like a PR or a pull request. That one always throws me, but it's a PR or a merge. It's merging back in. This here is branching off. And then once you're here as well, you do a commit. So committing your changes. These are the changes I'm going to make. And then you have a push. This is you pushing it up into main. Now when you push it up into main, you don't necessarily have to merge it. It could maintain as another branch. And if this is sounding complex, honestly, don't worry. You don't have to understand it, but it's just good to. So if we come here, we can see branches. Now on branch, we only have one, but you could theoretically have another branch here that runs at the same time, and it has that as the source. But it means that you could then have it commit and pushed up into GitHub so that you have both branches there, but you've not merged them yet. Now you may be thinking, why would you do that? Well, it could be that you want, two different copies of the code to be running at the same time to test which one works best for users or something. Just, just something like that. So anyway, if we come back here now to the code, you'll see that we have all of the code in here. Perfect. And if we go to the commit, we can see that there should be a commit message along with the code. So up at the top here, we can see initial commit, and this is the message co-authored by Claude. Boom. And so we now have a history of everything that's happened and all the changes that have been made, and we have our code stored somewhere in the cloud, which is a very important part, because when we then try to push this up to run on a website and not just on our own machine, because for context, localhost means your own machine. When we have this in the cloud, it will want to pull the code in to run it, download it from somewhere, normally from GitHub. So there you go, version control. So we now have our code, it's in the cloud. We have it looking a little bit better. So what we want to do now is, instead of us having to test things like this every time we make any change, we want some standardized testing. Sure, some of the testing you'll want to do yourself, but we should also have a suite of tests that run. So just come to Claude Code and say something like, analyze the entire code base and create a comprehensive test suite. Now, before writing any tests, make sure everything's, you're going to cover all of the corners, all of the edges. So we have this prompt. Let's copy that. Let's come back over here. We'll paste that in to Claude Code. Send that away. And now Claude Code is going to go and understand the code base again, ensure that it knows all the functionalities properly, then create a suite of tests. Now we'll want these tests to run every single time. Now to do that, we're going to update our claude.md file. I don't want to interrupt Claude Code doing it right now, but once it's done, we'll add it in. And when we add it in as well, we're going to update the workflow that it has in Claude MD to ensure that it knows that we want it to branch off every time that it's going to run in GitHub. We want it to also test, and we also want it to always work from the Kanban board, always. And because these run every single time, we're going to put them in the claude.md so that it's in every single prompt that Claude Code receives. So I'll join you back when it's done with the tests. Right, and boom. So we now have tests, as you can see. So this is testing, let me see. Yeah, all the different files that we have with functionalities, and boom. So looking good. We now have a suite of tests. So the thing is now, we want this to run all the time. So if we go over to the left, we're going to go to the claude.md file. Now inside of here, we want it to know that it has to run these tests all the time. So I have let me see, open a document. I have a prompt that we're going to pass in. You could go in and manually update the claude.md yourself, but we'll just pass it to Claude Code since it's simpler. So we're saying update Claude Code to enforce the following 3 core workflows. Essentially, Kanban-driven development, make sure it always refers to the Kanban board, mandatory testing, and then get to branch workflow, where essentially it always has to branch before it can then go back to main. It should never be committing changes directly to the main. So we have that. Let's go back here and paste that in. Boom. And now it will go and it should update this claude.md file. We'll close it down so that it can go and make the edits without me interrupting. And then let's see. Right, that was fast. So let me come to the claude.md. There we go. Mandatory workflows straight away in here. Perfect. And there we go. Very nice. So it will run these every single time. So let's commit this and push. /merge. And boom. This will then move it up to GitHub and we'll have the latest version there. Now I've been looking at the the UI as well. We'll get to AI. the UI, and I'm thinking it looks a bit rubbish actually, now I mention it. It's alright for me, but not for a SaaS. So I'm going to add some things into Kanban. I'm going to mess around with some prompts. A bit of advice, just from my perspective, from my opinion, is, don't be shy in doing stuff like this. I'll show you. So here I have put in a nice solid prompt. This UI for my SaaS is dreadful. How do I make it feel premium and slick? And just put in a screenshot of it. Now, be aware that with prompting, sometimes when you say stuff, it will like try to redesign it. So it's tried to literally remake the app for me here. But I don't want to remake that. Although, oh, that's nice. Oh, ho, ho, ho. I do like that. That's cool. I might add that to my Kanban board. But essentially now I'm going to try and get a prompt that we can use to make it look better. So I'll make it look a bit slicker, a bit nicer, and then I'll drop the prompt in the lesson plan so you can use it as well. So I'm going to show you roughly how to use Claude Code agent teams. So I've just word vomited a bunch of stuff I want to do. I was trying to mess around with the UI to make it look and feel a bit better. I think it already does look and feel a bit better, but I want it even better and I want things changed. Now, if I use one agent, I have to wait for them to be done. So, like, for example, and this is kind of how it works, which is you have, say, one agent here, and this is how long it takes them. Now, imagine you had two agents. It could theoretically take half the time, right? If you had three agents, again, suddenly it's like going to be a third of the original time or something. So this is in theory. The cool thing as well about agents is this idea of context windows. So Claude Code can only take so many tokens in. Say it's like 100 or 200,000 tokens, which sounds like a lot, but it's not that many. A token is essentially like a part of a word. It could be 2 letters, 3 letters, 4 letters, whatever. So basically, when you have loads of code files, it can take this up pretty fast. But when you're using agent teams, each of these will get their own little context, right? Which is perfect. Now, not only that, but they're also able to communicate with one another. And I don't mean normally you would have like some lead and then you would have these two sub agents who would work and they could only report back to the lead. Whereas now with the agent orchestration, the way that Claude Code does it is they can actually communicate to each other as well, so they can help unblock each other. And you can add obviously more in here as well, and he can then talk to this one, and they can talk to this one as well. Now the cool thing as well, another cool thing about it, you don't have to set this up. You can literally just say use teams or orchestrate, use teams, and it will just go away and it will do it for you. So I'll show you here how we can do that. So if we come to orchestrate teams of Claude sessions, this is the documentation, agent teams. I don't know why it says that and not just agent teams, but whatever. So if we scroll down, this is how you enable it here. So Claude Code experimental agent teams 1. So if I copy that and we'll head back on over to here, we want to find our .claude. So where is it? It should be in here. I can't see it. It could be fine because I suppose at first we could just ask it to do the change. So let me see. Let's go to open folder. So for some reason I can't see it in here, but that's fine. We'll just ask Claude to do it. So I'm going to open up a new terminal here, and then we're just going to write in Claude. That will establish Claude inside of this project. There we go. And so let me go back over here. We're going to copy this, paste it in here, press enter, and it should go away and figure out how to do it on its own. Now when it does this, we will have to reboot Claude. Let's see. Looks like we've shared an environment configuration snippet. Ready to work in. Please update the environment. Let's see what it says. So, yes. So it should now go in and make the changes. Don't know why it wants to go into music, but fine. I don't use music anyway, so I don't mind. But it should go and change the settings, and when it does, it will then enable this Teams. But we all have to press plus. Allow it in. Press plus here. Make a new terminal, and then from that new terminal, we'll need to run Claude. Let's see. We need to run Claude again so that it can start with these new settings. So in the meantime, whilst it's making that change, I'll come here and I'll copy all of this stuff. There you go, you can see that it's adding that in there, which is very good. Let's copy that. So it was in the parent folder. Fair enough. So did I copy that? Let me see. Copy. Let's come down here. Make the changes. Yes. See, these are the things that happen when you don't dangerously skip permissions. So there we go. Right, so it's done now. What we can do is we can just close these down. And then we'll do Claude dangerously skip permissions. And then in here, we're going to paste this in again. And then say, and use agent teams. So this time, and it might take a minute to kind of figure it all out, but once it figures out exactly what it's supposed to do, it will then start making a team of people. So there we go. I'll explore the code base in parallel to understand the current state before designing a plan. So away it goes to explore stuff, and there we go. It's running 2 explore agents, 3. So one's exploring the calendar, another the layout, another the filter. You can see these are all running in parallel. So if I was to actually try to run this, incrementally, it could take 3 times as long. And so that's how simple it is to run these. Again, you can go and change configurations, but you can always just come directly to Claude Code, which is the beauty of it. So this will go away, do all that stuff, come back, and all these agents will have been working on it together. So let's turn this into an AI-powered app. So I've made some tweaks, as you can see here, but the biggest problem is still adding tasks. I hate having to write stuff. I want to just press a button, speak, and then it will just populate it for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to AI Studio, and the reason I'm going to go to AI Studio is to get a Gemini API key. So here you want to log in, down the bottom left, get API key. And then from here, you want to create an API key, choose a project or create a project if you don't have one. So we'll call this one time blocks, create. And this is going to create a project for our key to be in. You don't have to worry about it, but that's just the way Google handles API keys. Not like other places where you just create one, but because Google actually uses Google's cloud infrastructure in the back end. So let's create a key here. Then I'll create it, and we can copy this. Right, cool. So you can see here that the quota tier is set. You have to set up billing because it's on the free tier. Now, free tier is obviously you'll get it for free, right? So you don't have to pay anything. But the problem is that sometimes you can then have rate limits and stuff, which are a bit of a nightmare. So if you click set up billing, it will automatically then take you to where you need to go to set up your billing account. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to charge you, but it does mean that it could. So you need to go and create a billing account, set it up. Let's see, finish setup. I already have one, but you can go and create one here. And there you go. Cool. So now I'll be able to have higher rate limits and stuff, which is required. So if I copy this API key, why do I want it? What am I going to do? Well, basically, I want to have a button somewhere where I press it, it'll record my voice, turn that into tasks, and then populate them here. So I've got the API key from here. Let's go now to Claude Code, which I still have open from last night. So I'm recording this after the whole site's gone live. Woohoo! Basically now we're going to say create an AI-powered feature where I can select or press a button, speak my tasks out, and AI will then turn these into tasks on the board. Here's my Gemini API key. And I'm going to say here just because I know, and if you know information, honestly, you're better to give it to the AI rather than try to make it guess. But here we can now say something like, use their text to speech. And that'll probably be enough information. So, it's literally, that's all you have to do to make an AI-powered application or like integrate AI is just give it this API key. And this API key is literally, again, if you don't know anything about it, as I said, this is just your key so that your app can go to the door of Google, unlock it with its key, and get in because it has a key to get in because it's got your key. That's why you can't give it to anyone else, and why I'll need to rotate all these before this goes live. So, like, if I was to then go live with this, because you've now seen it, it's dangerous because you could use it. 3 dots here and delete the key. And then you can just create a new one, and then you can just come to Claude Code and say, I have a new Gemini API key, here it is, you know. Or what I'll do probably at the end is just say, which API keys do I need to change? And then I'll go and do what it tells me to do. But it's going to go now and create this AI feature, so I'll come back when it's done. Right, so it says it's done with all of our tests passing. Very nice. Let's go and check it out. Go to time blocks. And the cool thing with Claude Code, I just went for a shower, came back, and apparently now this is done. So let me give it a hard refresh. So, where do I press the add task button? How do I use it? I suppose, wait, maybe it's not been merged. Let me ask. Has it been merged? Or is it running locally? Let's see. One thing, if you do have like tiny little questions, this is where it's good to be technical because you can just have a look. Local main but not pushed. No deployment up there, right? No, it's local only. Give me local URL. Make sure it's running. How do I use it? So I was expecting to see the big button here because I think that is one thing that I do like, and I think that I'd maybe modify this slightly, is that it feels too much like a calendar. I think what I'm envisioning really is like just a button. Click the button, tell it what I want, boom, 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 boom. It adds them up, all the tasks, and then rolls them out to the next day, and I can just swipe between them. I don't know. But this is what I was trying to say before with ideas, is your ideas kind of come to you as you build it. If you get an amazing idea, you know, you could probably one-shot the whole thing, but you probably don't have, you know, the idea in your mind. Right, let me see, 5173. I think I actually have a local something else. Yeah, YouTube Systems is running. Ho ho ho. Look at this. YouTube Systems is looking good. Let me tell you. Look at that. That's so slick. Nice. Right, so let me tell it to use a different port. Use different port. This one's in use. For context, the port 5173, that's the port number. Now your computer's got, I don't know how many, thousands of them, thousands of ports. So a port's just a place you can like get information in or out of a computer. I'm actually well impressed by this. This looks so nice. I'd like these to be more dynamic, but that's cool. So anyway, back to time blocks. Let's see what it does. Also, a quick kind of side note, I suppose. See on like UIs like this. So this is the actual UI I had originally, which I think is pretty cool, but it feels too techy and practical, whereas this feels like a legit website. The way I had gotten it from this to this is I literally just gave it the link to cursor.com. So if we go to cursor.com, So here we go, and I thought this looks cool. I like the feel of this website. I think it looks and feels nice. So I gave it this link and just said, make it look more like this, basically. And this is what it's given me. So pretty impressed. Anyway, back to time blocks. Let me see. So which port should it be running on now? 5174. Wait, what? What's going on here? Why is it? It's like it's running the wrong one. Let me figure this out. Hold on. This is actually the problem with running a bunch of stuff locally. Is that you end up, you don't know, unless you're fully tracking it. But if you have multiple applications, you don't know what's what and where it is. So I've asked it to go to 5166. I know this one's free because I just changed the numbers up here. You can change them to whatever you want, and that will tell you whether it's free or not. So 5166 time blocks. Let's sign in as me. Then we'll have the moment of truth. Let's see. Oh, failed to fetch. Oh no. Failed to fetch. On login. Again, this is the thing. Just let me move my recording button. There we go. Backend isn't running. Come on, Claude. And this is sometimes the dangers of trying to one-shot it. You still need to be in charge. You're the guy. You're the CEO, mate. He's just your little dev guy. Cool. So let's try it again. Failed to fetch. Let me see. Failed to fetch. Backend wasn't started. Try logging in again. Sign out. Let's log back in. Hey, there's this proper sign out button. That's good. There wasn't before. Now let's see. Failed to fetch still. So what we can do here is, quick side note, right click, go to inspect down the bottom. And so now we have, this pops up. What's going on? This is the code. Go up to console. Boom. Bunch of errors. So let me refresh the page. You'll see all these errors are coming up. So it looks like it's the same error over and over again. So we're just going to highlight all of this. Whoop. Copy it. Paste it in here. Enter. And then you'll go away and fix that. So basically here, what I'm looking at, these are errors, as you can tell with the red cross and the red highlight. But essentially, console is just like terminal. So it's just like this here. It's just a way to interface. And so when you right click and inspect, you're opening up this side panel here, which is like dev tools. There's a bunch of stuff you can see here. But elements is basically the entire website. So you can go in here and you can actually change some of the stuff if you want. But it doesn't change the real website, but it will change what you're looking at, which is pretty cool. Console, this will just show you like the stuff in the terminal. So we can see the actual errors. Anyway, let's see what it's doing. So there we go. It says refresh. Should work now. Let's refresh. Boom. Right, so there's a voice button up the top. Let's give it a try. Allow visiting the site. Add today that I need to go to the shops for cat food. I need to finish my new school community, and I need to finish YouTuber Systems' new UI design. Oh, the way. Right, so it's transcribing me, but it's now not configuring the service. Let me see if it's a thing here. Yeah, because if I copy this, it just narrows it down for the AI. Kind of mainly it saves on token usage and stuff, so you can see that this is where it's failing. But you could also just type into the AI and say, after I speak, it says AI service not configured. After I speak, it says AI service not configured. Also, this here. Bump. So we'll let that go and we'll see how it goes. So I had to go and use my phone for the door. And now it's come back and we're massive. So I don't know what's happened here. But let me see. If I sit back a little bit so I'm not as in your face. There we go. So I'm really far away now. But basically, it's now saying it doesn't have the API key. And you're thinking, but I gave you the API key. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But what's happened here is it's had to refresh, I think, the context because it's done so much. And when it does that, it's lost our messages, which means it's then lost our actual API key that we gave it. So we can just come back to API keys in Studio here. We can go and just copy that, come back, paste it in, send it in, and then I'll add that. And there we go, we can see that it's updating this .env file. .env file is where it stores your secrets and your API keys and stuff really. Locally, so locally relative to the current computer. So if you were to put this on the cloud somewhere, .env would locally store it on that computer. So anyway, it's doing that. It should work now. Let's go over, refresh. Let's try it again. Oops, not that one, the local one. Let's try the local one again. Click on the mic. Let's start speaking. So today we need to go and buy some cat food. We also need to go to McDonald's, and I need to finish my school community. And then tomorrow I want to finish my YouTuber Systems UI rebrand. Create tasks, right, more truth, right. So voice input, buy cat food, go to McDonald's, finish community, finish rebrand, close, boom. It's there. We have an AI-powered to-do list app. Boom. Honestly, I just need to improve the UI, and I think this could be brilliant. It'd be good too if you could then come and just have a big button and say, you know, oh, I've done this, or move this, or whatever, you know, so like interact with it. But yeah, it's even guesstimated how long it should take me. So finish school community, 2 hours, learning, go to McDonald's is personal, 30 minutes, buy cat food, errands, 30 minutes, and then tomorrow's one, so if we scroll over, scroll to tomorrow's one, 9 a.m, work. So I don't know why it's moved this to 2 p.m, but hey, fair enough, it's just guesstimating for me. What time is it now? 10 a.m. So I mean, did put buy cat food in the past, but hey, I'm impressed. It's a good way, a good example to show you how you can actually implement AI where it makes sense. Because previously you'd have had to write code. Oh man, you'd have had to use the AI, I think, anyway, for the transcription, and then you'd have to write code. Oh, be a nightmare. But anyway, there you go. That's how simple it is to use AI. And now, if you want to make any more AI features, it already has this Gemini API key, so it has a way to use an LLM under the hood. So you can just tell it what you want it to build, and it will go and use that model. So you don't have to do any more API stuff, unless you want to use Claude or something. But there you go, AI-enabled application. So in this module, we're gonna ship it. Basically, we're gonna put it live. So right now we have it running on your computer, but this is no good. See this local host malarkey? Because if you try and give someone local host, they won't be able to access it. And also, if something happens to your computer, that's it, gone forever. So, well, I suppose we've got GitHub, but the data, all your tasks will be gone. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to move it up into the cloud. So we have here your computer, and instead of yours, it's going to be a computer in the cloud, right? Basically. But this computer is going to actually be divided essentially up into 3 different pieces across 3 different websites. So we're going to have the first one here, which is going to be Supabase. This is your database. I'll talk more about what that is in just a minute. Database. This one here is going to be your backend, and this backend is going to run inside of render. Oh man, can't spell. R-E-N-D-E-R. That's your backend. And then the final one is your front end, and that front end is going to run in Netlify. Netlify. And that's going to be your front end. Move my recording button. There we go. So we're going to split it up into 3 portions. Why? Well, because we need to have a front end somewhere. This is your HTML file, this is your UI, this is what you see with your eyes when you hit a website. So this is your UI. We then have to have a back end. This is where all of the programming is happening. So think of this as like, this is your code stuff, right? Is all happening in the back end. And then you have a database, so database, and this is where you're going to store all of the persistent data. So think of this like all of your tasks, user profiles, this kind of stuff. So we have our HTML page that you're going to see, we have then our database at the back, and then we have basically the stuff in the middle that makes it all work together. So the front end, as we said, is going to be on Netlify. So Netlify, cool thing about it, it's going to be completely free. So this is going to be $0, £0. Supabase, our back end, is going to be completely free as well. So that's 0. And Render, we are going to pay for it, but you can have a free version. But the free version's got a couple of problems. So the paid version is $7 per month, which, if you ask me, is super cheap to run your SaaS company, basically. So the Render, you can get a free version, but the problem with the free version of Render is that it's gonna end up spinning down. So what that means is, when you want to use it, you have to wake it up. So you have to hit the URL. Basically, you have to go to your website, and the first time you go there, it will just load for up to a minute. Then it will start running. And the problem is, because this is the back end, what it means is you'll be able to see stuff, but if it tries to get information like pull tasks, it will just fail for up to a minute, and then it will start working. So that $7 a month is definitely worth it. And the reason we're doing it in this order as well is because these are honestly the easiest ones to use, in my opinion. And although it's 3 different websites, it's cheaper because you can use a database on Render, but it's going to be more expensive. Same with the front end, going to be more expensive. Or you can host it all in Render, but I think Netlify, I like the way they do things there, and it's nice for you to get used to Netlify. Oh, well, I'll just leave it. We'll talk about it in a bit. But basically, because you can actually host websites completely for free just by dragging and dropping the files in, which is cool. It's called Netlify Drop. Anyway, so let's move this from your machine into the cloud so we can actually ship it. Oh, and the last thing too is we're gonna talk about moving, and I'm going to show you how to get your own domain name. So obviously, localhost is not a domain, right? And when you try to then run it on, say, Netlify, it will be www.yourapp-app.netlify. That's a lot of apps. .app. That's a mouthful. So instead, what you can do is you can go and buy a domain name, honestly, for like less than $5. You don't have to, but you can. And so then you can get www.yourapp.com, and then I'll show you how you can actually make this work inside of Netlify. It's super simple. Take you like 5 minutes. It will seem scary, but trust me, just follow the steps. It's not. So let's get into it. So one thing here that I'm aware of, you should be too, is that I'm the only person that can use this app. If anyone else was to use it, they would have to be on my computer, and it would mess up mine. So what we want to do is we want to create multi-sessions or multiple users. So we want multiple people to be able to access it at the same time. Now, a fundamental piece here that we require so that we can actually do this, as well as so that we can actually persist this data so that it's somewhere else, the same way we have like GitHub for the code. We want this data to be somewhere, not just local, as we need to introduce a database. So we're going to use Supabase. Supabase is probably one of, if not the best database provider on the market right now for this type of thing. I've used them a bunch. I have it currently running for my YouTuber systems. I've done it for a couple other kind of SaaS products I've made before. Now, the first thing you have to do is come along to Supabase and sign up. For reference, if you have literally no idea, all a database is, imagine it like this. It's just a table. It's like Google Sheets, but it actually runs fast. And then data is just stored in here. And to find data, you just find it via the stuff. So, super simple. Now, you don't need to know any of this. You don't even need to know schemas, any of the exciting SQL stuff. Just do what Claude Code tells you and let Claude Code do as much as it possibly can. Also, side note, the beauty of Claude Code is that I have it running here, doing some of these implementations using the multiple agents. And on my other screen, I have YouTuber Systems doing some stuff too. So, all whilst I'm also recording this. Honestly, once you start actually using these agents for real, it's crazy how good they are. So, I want to start a new project. Also, excuse my voice, getting deeper as I get more tired. Probably just like you, this is the kind of stuff that you do in the evening, building your SaaS product, your escape hatch from your 9 to 5. So, organization, I'm just going to go for just me, that's fine. Project name, there's a couple of my different stuff I've made. So, project name, we'll go and just call it time blocks, role blocks, that's what I'm thinking of. Give it a database password, we'll just generate one, that's fine. Region, Europe, that's where I am, perfect. Security, enable data API, create new project. So it's just going to create a new place for us to store our data. Now, once we've created this, we need to go and get some information so that we can then pass it to Claude Code here. So basically, what we're going to do is use MCP servers. Now, if you don't know what an MCP server is, essentially what it allows is for an AI to contact some service. Now, in our instance, that service is a database, which is Supabase, and our AI is Claude Code, and it just uses MCP to get this. How? You don't need to know the technical specifics, but essentially what happens is, for our database, our AI will come up with an idea for a bunch of tables that we'll need to store all of the user data, right? Now, when it creates these tables, normally you used to have to do this yourself. And then, even when AI kind of could do it prior to MCP, you would then have to go and copy the SQL, which is the code that you use, and you'd have to go and find Supabase and write it in and run it and look at it, and nightmare. Now, MCP will literally go to this service and it will be like, do you have a way for me to run this SQL query? And then the service will be like, yes, we have a SQL query endpoint. So then the AI will use the MCP server to then go to this endpoint and pass in the SQL, and then it will run it inside of the service. So basically, that's a way for the AI and the service to talk to each other, but it's a unidirectional kind of relationship here, because it's the AI reaching out to here. It's kind of like the AI's version of an API, which, if you are completely, don't know what that is, application programming interface, it's kind of like the same thing, AI to service, except it's just the standardized way to go from an app to like some other app generally, or some computer to some computer, to basically ask for information. And these endpoints, like this one here, like running a SQL query, for example, which is basically just like running a little bit of code, that would be a specific API endpoint, would be that specific thing. So it's just like this abstracted for AI. I'm sure it was Anthropic that came up with it and standardized it. So anyway, we have our Supabase. We have that set up. Let me see how this one's going on. If you ever get that message, I was too quick to pass it by, but it said, do you want to clear the context? That's because it's run out of space because of all the tokens it's used. Just say yes. Sometimes if it seems to be working a bit weird, you can always say, remember first what we're going to do, store it in kanban.md just to double check, and then go and do your stuff, and it'll be fine. And you can literally be that level of as if you don't know what you're talking about, and it will still understand you, which is amazing. So we need, I'm just checking the other screen because I always forget what you actually need here, but basically we're going to get the Supabase MCP. So Supabase MCP, so that Claude can contact it. So I'm going to give it this link so it doesn't have to go searching for it. I can just give it this link and say, here you go. Now, it'll ask me some information. I want your project URL. So if I click on this here, this is a little like connector icon. And these are all the ways that you can connect. So I'll probably need to change the passwords for this going live because you'll see it otherwise. So anyway, connection string. Basically what we need to give it is we need to give it a project URL, so we've got that, and we need to give it our service role key. So we'll go to, let me see, can we do, yeah, we can do our anon key, service role key. Where's this here? Server URL, this is our project. We can go to Claude Code. So that's what you could copy and paste in, but it's fine. Claude will know how to do that for us. So do we have connection string? Actually, do you know what we'll do? We'll add a new terminal here, and we'll open up Claude, and we'll ask Claude itself, what it wants. So we'll do Claude dangerously, or can I press up? There we go. If you press up, you can go through your recent commands. So Claude dangerously skip permissions, there we go. And I'll just get the URL for this MCP server stuff. Where is it here? And I'll say, what info do you need? So, what info do you need to connect via MCP to create a database backend? And paste that in. And then it will give me back the information that it requires. Now, one of them will for sure be the project. So let's open this up. Let's how can we copy this first? So copy the project URL. Let me see. For future look, this one will need a little bit of editing, by the way. Right, so here we go. So we'll have this here, option A, the easiest. Just add this. So a couple of options. The first option is just add this and use dynamic login via browser. Oh, cool. There we go. So we'll come here. We'll go to connected. We'll go to MCP, scroll down, client, change that to Claude. And then here, we can just copy this. I'll paste it and I'll say add this in. Boom. And then we'll let it work away. And we can see up here our other terminal, how that's getting on. So that's still working away on enhancing our UI. Now at any point you can obviously come and try and have a look, refresh it and see if it's made any changes, but probably not because it's working away. So let's go back here. So MCP servers can't go in there, that fails strict schema. MCP servers are configured. So this is if you wanted to configure them yourself, by the way. You can go to that mcp.json, so it's just creating it here. But we aren't going to do that because then you have to go and make it and stuff. Just let AI do it for you. Especially if you're on the max plan, you're not going to have to worry about usage, most likely. So yeah, there we go. We'll have to restart Claude to do that. That's fine. So what we'll do is we'll just click plus, create a new one, delete that one. And here we'll just say again, or press up, Claude dangerously skip permissions. And I'll say create a backend database for the user data. I'm intending on this being a SaaS for multiple logged in users. This is just so that it understands the needs, because I'm not going to fully articulate the requirements, and this is one of the weird things with AI is there probably isn't going to be a time when AI just makes apps for you when you need them, because you probably don't know the exact problem you're trying to solve. And that's something you learn as you build out products and stuff, is that actually you never really had a solid understanding of the problem in the first place. Or even if you did, you had no idea what it was supposed to look like. So anyway, it's a way of exploring the code base to understand the architecture. Basically, it's trying to find what data will I need to store in a table, what's normally stored locally, plus will I need to store an email, a password, this kind of stuff. So go away and check that out. So here it's going to ask which backend framework do we want to use. And we're going to go Python and Fast API, mainly just because that's what I already have experience in, so I can have a look and see how it's going. And this here, database, do you want to use? Postgres is actually what we want to use, but we're going to say Supabase because it's hosted Postgres. We'll send that in. And then how do you want to handle authentication? Now, I had a massive annoyance with my YouTuber systems trying to get Supabase Auth to work. But, you know, it did get there in the end, so hopefully if there's anything that happens today, I can show you how to fix it. So now it's going to say, where do you plan to deploy this? So we'll just say somewhere like my intention for us is Netlify, Supabase, and render. So it's Netlify front end, Supabase, DB, and render backend, which I'll tell you about in a moment once we get this guy to just start working. So with a Python and Fast API backend, that's fine. Supabase or hosted Postgres, which is just a type of SQL, a type of table language. Think about it like that. And how do you want to handle authentication, Supabase? And where do you want to plan to deploy this? Cool. Right, so it's a way to do that. Now that stuff, this Netlify, etc., we will worry about that more in the next module for shipping it, but kind of a quick rundown if you're like, oh my goodness, what is going on, is basically you have your front end. This is your website. So this is what you see when you're on the website, www.whatever.com. Then we'll have our data that it actually needs and uses from somewhere else. So on like Facebook, this would be feed posts, stuff like that, stories, people's names, whatever. And this would be actual Facebook, for example. And then the middle between here and here is you have a backend. Now this backend code, this is the code which kind of facilitates the movement of data from here to here. So the backend, these are like the endpoints that go to get the data and then modifies it, manipulates it, whatever is required to then go to here. And this basically is just like the picture frame where you put stuff in. So that's the rough idea. For this, we're using Netlify here. And then the backend is Supabase. Because I'm downstairs, not upstairs, I don't have my little drawing pad. So this is all fully mouse, which is pretty impressive. And then this here is your backend, which we're using render. Now you might be asking why. Well, Supabase, for what we're going to do, is going to be completely free. Netlify, for what we're going to do, is going to be completely free. And render, for what we're going to do, can either be free or $7 a month. Now, free would be for, basically, for free, it's not running all the time. You have to then go and, like, your first time you hit the website, it has to start to load up, and it can take up to like a minute. So you don't want that. That's why you pay $7 a month. So this entire setup for your SaaS is literally $7 a month. And if you're going to implement some AI stuff, then it's the price of whatever the AI stuff is. But yeah, $7 a month, which is insane. So it'll go away now and design the back-end architecture. As you can see, this is the kind of stuff we don't have to worry about, but it's just creating those tables and things. So I'll let it go, get it self-sorted, and then we'll go and have a look in Supabase when it is done. So it has now created this entire back-end system, where it will now facilitate Auth. So it's going to use a JWT, which is a token. Essentially, it's a unique identifying token. You get one for you, and you're like, it's me, here's my token, basically. And then integrates into the API, has roots as well, because this is required for the API. You don't have to worry about that. And then the back end as well. So it wants me to create some SQL stuff, basically for Supabase. And I said, you should do everything. What credentials do you actually need? And it's these 4 here. So where do you get them? Project URL. If we go to Supabase, let me go back. So here's like the main place you go. So this here, this is called main. Go to connector and then go to API keys and you'll get your project URL. So you can just copy that, paste that in. Then next one is the anon key. So go to here, copy that, paste that in, and you see I've just written anon-key equals, and then the value. The next is JWT secret. So for JWT secret, if we go to API settings, on the left, JWT secrets, and we'll go to legacy, and then this one here. I don't know why it insists on using the legacy one. It always does for me. And here you can reveal that, copy that, paste that in. And finally is the database URL. Use one with your password replaced. So if you go back here, you'll see if you go to connect that your password isn't here. It says your password. Now, if you're like me, you generated one, so you don't know what it is. But that's all right. You can just go to database settings, and since you're already logged in, you can just reset database password, generate, and then copy that and save that as your new password. So paste that in here. To get the rest of that database URL, we can just go back and get this here, bam, and then bring it over here. I'll paste that in. I'll go URL equals, and I'll change this database URL one to say database URL, we'll just say password. Boom. So now this will give it full access to actually do stuff on our behalf for Supabase, because now it can authorize itself as us. Now, of course, here I've shared all this on screen, so I'll have to go and change it all and then change these variables, but that's fine. Basically, the way it stores it is it's going to store it just locally here on my computer. But when we move all up into the cloud, so onto Render, Netlify, and Supabase, at that point it will store these values on Render. That's where it will store it for the back end. So we'll let that run and then we'll go see Supabase in a minute. Now a quick one here in case it asks you. So here it's saying that I can either give it the connection string and it can go and do it itself, or I can run the SQL. Now if it doesn't give you this option and it just tries to get you to run the SQL, all you have to do is come over here to your Supabase, and on the left hand side these are your options. So project overview, that's just this page. Table editor is where you can actually see the tables themselves, and SQL editor is where you can come in and run it. Now to run these SQL queries, you can just paste it in here and then click run over here, and that's you. It's that simple. But instead of having to do it ourselves, I'm going to just give it the connection string, because then it can just do its own thing. So if we head on over here, say show the full database connection string, settings, database. So I'm going to go back. Honestly, the bane of my life is flicking here. Let me see, somehow it's gone all the way back. Right, so database, settings, database. Is that what it said? Settings, database, full database connection string. I think actually that's from project overview, connection here, connection string, direct connection. So I mean, it should already have it. So we'll say you should already have the connection string. It's this plus my password I gave you. Boom. So we'll let them go and work that out. hopefully next time I see you, there'll be some tables. No luck, so we're going to do the run SQL yourself bit. So it will give us the SQL, and I'll show you exactly what it does and what to expect. So if we head on over here, we can go on the left, we have some options. We want the SQL editor. So if we go in here, we're going to paste it in here and click run over here. So let's get it here. So paste this and let's copy all of this. This is SQL. This is what it looks like. It's called a query, but it also can do stuff. So it doesn't just query, it can actually make things. So as you can see here, it's creating a new table and then some other stuff. You don't have to worry about any of this other stuff. Let's run selected. Let me see. So it has an error. I think that's because of the way it's pulled through these here. Let me see. Oops. Yes. ID should. Let me see. Let's see what we can do here. Or is this just wrapping it round? Yeah, it must be. So it's just trying to say at line 0. Syntax error at end of input line 0. Have I done something? Ah, there we go. Give an empty row at the end. Boom, success. No rows returned. That's because it's a query, so it can return stuff. Successful, all good. Let's go back and we'll say it's been successful. Now make the relevant changes to complete this here. Oh no, I've been here so long, even my light's gone out. It's gone midnight as well. Honestly, this building stuff, you know, burning the midnight oil. Make sure as well when you're building stuff like this, reach out to me. Reach out to me on school. You know, you can go and find me on the chat. You can write stuff in the community, talk to other people, because I want to help people realize their potential here, really, and the things in their mind. Because when you create things that you want to create, it's just an amazing feeling. Oh, hey, here we go. Haha. Is this actually set up then? Let me configure. Oh, that's pretty cool, man. So it's already created that. I thought it was just going to be down, but it seems to be working, which is good. We'll let this finish first before I try and sign up, because I don't want to ruin it. So one other kind of bit of information for here is that my computer apparently doesn't have IPv6. Don't have to worry about it. Basically, IP addresses, you get V4 and V6. Apparently, I don't have V6. Yours may not as well. So if it asks something about pooling, come to this ORMs, go to pooling. I just copied this and just gave it the whole thing and said, is this what you want? And it said, yes, that's the missing piece. So it's a way sorting that out now. And also, you need to come here and switch off confirm email. So basically, mine's kept hitting an error, which it did last time too, where it tries to send a confirmation email and it messes up. So you need to disable that. Come back. Done. Disabled. There we go. Right, nice one. So we now have this working. So if we head on over to Supabase, you can see that it's all set up, looking good. That's data's pulling through. So here now, if we refresh on sign up, oh no, what's happened? Oh, it's killed my app. Keep the keep the app up. Come on, you're killing me, man. It's my bedtime. Right, moment of truth. So of course that, it should at least have a home page and stuff, but whatever. We're just going to go with it, see how it goes. We'll go sign up. Oh, come on. There we go. Boom. We're in. Right, so if I select here, oh, that's logged me out by the looks of it. Let me log back in again. Actually, we'll log back in this time as somebody else. Invalid login, right? That's good because that's login. So sign up. Let's sign up with these new creds. Boom, we're in. Looks good with our new stuff that we've got going on, like focus. Unfocus it. Let's add in skip it up. Add that again. Skip it up. I don't think it's reloaded it. Let me see. Hey. Add task. Let's see if this is persistent. Add task. Because is it here? I guess it's still actually working. But that'll do. Right, so they're definitely here. We can focus that. That looks cool. We can collapse it. That's nice too. Right, so I need to add like a sign out button or something. But at least now we can log in as different people. Now let me try and log back in and see if it's there. Boom! They're still there. Amazing. So now we have a full back end and it's set up, it's working, multi-users, bam. So obviously there's a couple of little things that we want to do to the application, but it's here, it's working, back end sorted. So next, let's get this on render and Netlify and then we can ship it. So we have our application here and we have it set up with a backend, which you'll have just done if we've just come from that module. And this is what we're seeing here, a little bit more of what to see. If you click on database, you can see the actual database schema itself. Tables, you can see the tables. But also if you go to authentication, you're able to see the actual users as well, because you were probably wondering on table, why can I only see tasks? What about people? That's because they're under authentication. So on our whiteboard, if we zoom out a little bit here, what we've done is we've basically finished our Supabase setup. So that's all looking good. The next thing to do is our Netlify and render. So this is our front end and our back end here. So what we're going to do is, nice and simply, we're going to go to Claude again, down the bottom, and we'll simply say we now need to set up Netlify and don't worry, I'll give you this prompt in the description or in the lesson plan. It'll be a better prompt than this, but it's this essentially, which is we now need to set up Netlify and render as the front end and back end. I'm thinking you can do it via MCP. What info do you need from me? Just API keys. So that's normally what it is. They'll take your API key and the MCP like endpoint and use your API key to say, hi, it's me, by the way, at MCP. So we'll see what it comes back with. But if we go over here, in the meantime anyway, we'll have to sign up to Netlify. So if you just go to netlify.com, something that is cool about Netlify, and the reason that I came across it, was you can do like one file drops to go live. So if you go to login here, or sign up if you're new, and then it will log you in, or you sign up. And then once you're here, you can actually then just drag and drop like a new project. So if you go to new project here, you can deploy manually, import an existing project, whoever it may be, and you can literally just drag and drop a single file and sort it out. But we'll be doing it with with GitHub, essentially. So we have this one here. We've got a new project in GitHub. Yeah, try Netlify drop. That's what it is I was meaning. Here, you literally just drag and drop your file and it will host it online, which is amazing. But we have our whole directory, so we want to do it properly. We'll go here, go to GitHub, because we're going to use GitHub. And this is the best way to do it to authorize yourself. If you try to let yourself be authorized by the MCP server and stuff, it becomes a massive nightmare, because essentially it tries to authorize you as you and stuff. This way, boom, you're authorized, you're in. So I think what we need to do here is we need to configure the app. So if you didn't see that there, I clicked here, configure the Netlify app, because I can only see one of my repos, whereas I want to give it access to this other repo. So I'll send the code via email instead. Let's see. Just because my phone is actually my camera, which is also getting used for verification. So once you verify, you come along to here, just scroll down, you'll see repository access, select repos, and here we're going to go and find our new repo, which is time blocks. There we go. And save that. So now it has access to these two, because you don't want to give it access to everything if you can help it. So we have this here. We'll select time blocks. Team, that's fine. Project name, we'll just leave that. That's fine. Branch to deploy, main, that's what we want. Everything else we can just kind of leave as is, and deploy. I think deploy time blocks. We'll see first. We'll double check what it asks for first. So with these two keys, I'll create a site, configure the build, set the 3 environmental vars, and trigger deploy. So I suppose we could just do it using MCP as well, possibly. Let's give it a try. Anyway, so let's open this up. And we'll open this one too. Open. Keep going on the other screen. Let me bring it over. So we'll see if this works first, because this would be much easier for everybody. So render, let's create an API key. We'll call this one time blocks. Create that. Copy. Boom. Bring that back here. We'll say render API as this. And then we'll say Netlify as, and we'll go get the PAT. So personal access token here. Create a new one. Description of the token, we'll call it time blocks. Generate this token. Copy that. Done. We're back in here. Paste that in. Bam. I'll be impressed if we can do that, because normally I've had to go and set it up manually. But we'll see. Mainly because of the automatic deployment and stuff. But I suppose actually we've given it permission in GitHub, so it should be good to go. Because I think that was the problem last time, is it didn't have permissions in GitHub, not that it didn't, that I didn't set it up manually. Cool, yeah, so as you can see, good, GitHub repo exists, in front end build successfully, boom. Now let me create both services in parallel, nice, that's what we like to see. So we'll see how long this takes. I mean, I think this could be really fast, and then all we have to do is give it a URL. It will have automatically a Netlify URL, but we want to give it our own one. So let's let this go, and I'll see you in a minute. So it's getting a bunch of errors, just like it did the last time that I had this issue, where it's went and uploaded the Netlify package manually. So basically it's uploaded the files, it's not really connected to GitHub properly. So I'm going to ask it to walk me through this, how to set it up manually in Netlify, and I'll go show you how to do that as well. I was going to, you can press escape, I think it is, or Control C to basically stop this chat going on, but I'm just going to let the chat finish because I don't want to mess it up. We'll let it finish, and then I'll I'll show you how to manually ensure that it works. Because the main thing I just want to double check is what the build command is. So how does it start running? Where does it get published to? Pretty much, and that's it. So we'll let it finish, and then we'll come and see it. Cool. So it seems to have set it up, or mainly set it up. So we'll copy this. We'll go to Supabase, and we need to set up the URL configuration for Auth. Let's go to Supabase. Is this for redirect? Yeah, redirect URL for password resets and stuff like that. So let's say go to Auth and emails. Was it emails? Let me see. Auth URL configuration. So that here. Redirect URL. Add URL here. Paste that in. Save that. And that should be our Netlify URL for the actual application. So let's give that a try actually. Let me see. Ho, ho, ho. We're live. Nice. So I'm going to ask it to walk me through this Netlify setup so that we can make sure whenever we merge something on GitHub that it's actually reflected here on Netlify. So go to our site here, app.settings, blah, blah, blah. Command and open that. What we'll do actually, let's go split screen here. Boom. So close that down. I suppose I need to open it because my camera's in the way. I'll just keep it smaller. So we need to go to our site settings at app.netlify. We're here. And on here, go to projects. Let's go to home. Projects, go to time blocks app. First one here. Under build and deploy. Let's see, where's build and deploy? Deploys. And deploy settings. Build and deploy, continuous deployment. Cool, so we have that. Click link site to Git. Choose GitHub. So manage repo. We'll unlink it and we'll relink it again. So let's link it again. GitHub. It should be able to be there. There we go. So build settings. Branch to build main. Build npm. Run build. This here build command. Publish directory. That's correct. Right. Environment variables. So let's add these. These are essentially your keys, stuff like that you store in your environment. So this computer, essentially in the cloud, is running your app, and you have to save the key names and key values inside this computer. So let's add these environment variables. So I think actually do I have a .env file locally? I don't know. We'll do key value pairs. This is the simplest way to do it. So we'll just copy that first one. Boom. Second one. Boom. Third one. Boom. And then we'll copy this. So this is our API URL. This is our Supabase URL. It's .co, is it not .com? Supabase.co. Yeah, .com. Maybe not. Let me go back and double check that's the right URL. Time blocks, yes, WZIE. It'll just be that doesn't go anywhere probably. So we'll go back to Netlify. Make sure that's a .com at the end. And then your anon key. We'll go back here. Connectors. Set MCP, not API key. Anon key. Let's copy that. Bring that back over. Paste that in. Scroll down. Deploy time blocks. Can I just save it? Oh, time blocks as in my name. Because I'm tired, I thought Anyway, so there we go. That is now sorted. After that, it will always auto deploy from main. So the next thing, the last thing to do here is to just set up the URL. So we'll do that in the next video. Let's go. So the last thing you want to do is, instead of having this -app.netlify, you want to have your own URL. So if we go to, let me see, Netlify project overview, you can go to domain management. And from here, there's two ways you can get domains. So first of all, we can click on add a domain, buy a new domain. From here, we can go say time blocks. I think X is easier to type. We can buy time blocks dot all of these, timeblocks.com. Search. Not available, but you can see we can pick any of these ones. Click buy, and then it will sort you out on here, right? But instead, you can also, and this is what I recommend, it's slightly more technical, but I'll show you exactly how to do it. As you just go, add a domain you already own, and then you put in your domain here. And the domain, you're going to go and buy it from namecheap.com, which sounds not real, but is legit. So you can come here, and as it says, they're cheap. So let's do time blocks. See what comes up. So timeblocks.london, timeblocks.dev. That's not bad. 10 quid a year. You could get something like that, or time blocks. Like Tim blocks. I don't know. It's not very good at guessing for you, but anyway. So you can pick a domain name here, and once you've picked it, you just simply put it in here and click verify. And I'm going to show you briefly on YouTube Systems how I've done this, because I just done it a minute ago. If I go to domain management, you can see I have two domains here, youtubersystems.ai and youtubersystems.ai with a www. Now you need both of these, so, or well, you can use both of them. I would recommend doing both of them. But once you've added these domains, it will come up like this, pending DNS verification. If you select that, it will tell you exactly what needs to be done here. So it's saying just a CNAME, but previously, if I open up ChatGPT, because I was just double checking what to do actually on ChatGPT for it. So if we go here, you can see this was the pop-up, YouTuber Systems, and then it says alias, and then here, and it says this is the load balancer. Basically, all of the requests that are coming to Netlify are going to go here, and then that computer will decide where it should go, right? So it can distribute traffic. And the other one is the fallback, so this is the actual IP address itself, because this one here will get routed to the IP address, the best one that can serve it at the time. This is the exact one. This is, if you cannot resolve this DNS name, or there's something with the load balancer, it can go directly to somewhere. Briefly, a kind of technical explanation for this, or a drawing, I suppose, is you have a user, when they want to get to say, we'll just say timeblocks.com, they can either go via that IP address, which is that number of like x.x.x.x, that'll go directly there, or that's the fallback address, because the first protocol or port of call that they'll do is to go to that load balancer URL, which will then be a little computer, which then decides which of a number of computers is the right one or the best one at the time, depending on how many other users are trying to go on the site at the same time. Because if you think about it, websites are essentially giving you information. It's basically a computer that sends you stuff and also accepts stuff from you. So they have a bandwidth that's limited. So anyway, to verify it, you just go and get these values. So this alias, apex, load balancer, and this A record 75 dot blah blah blah. And all you do is on Namecheap or wherever you go, we'll go dashboard, we'll go to domains here at youtubersystems.ai, we'll click on manage, From manage, you want to go to advanced DNS. DNS is domain name resolution, which simply means how does a name like namecheap.com map to a value like an IP address. And all you have to do here is add in new records. You need an A record and you need the alias record. Both of these, put an @ symbol, and then the IP address for the A record is the one that it gives you. So it's this one here. And for the alias, it's this URL. And that's reflected in here, there, and there. And the TTL, this is the time to live. I've put it at 1 minute, and that's because it takes time to propagate, and you want that time to be as short as possible right now so that you can get on your website as soon as you can, basically. Because this is saying if you put it higher, you're basically saying like, oh, it can take an hour before everybody knows that when you go to youtubersystems.ai that it should then go to this actual address. Whereas you want it instant so you can get this working. Now once you've done that, you'll have to go down here to this SSL TLS certificate. This is basically a certificate to say that you are the actual owner of the domain name, so it's the real website, and you just click verify DNS configuration, and then that can take up to 1 day to get it. So for example, on YouTuber Systems, I don't have it right now, so you can see it's not secure, but you can see that youtubersystems.ai actually gets us to here. So there we go. We have finally shipped the whole thing. Let's go, man. So send me a message of your website. Let me go see it. I want to check it out. Also, post it in the community as a win. You just made your first AI app and it is live at a domain name. Well done, man. Now, next up, let's try and make some money from it. So we have this here, which is basically our website. I've made some amendments, as you can see. Now it has a front and center AI feature with just today's tasks and a mic where I can talk to it to create tasks, edit them, etc. So we now have this. We want to market it to make some money, basically. How do we get our first users? So there's two things to be aware of, really, which is marketing and pricing. Pricing, how much is it going to cost? Marketing, who's going to see it and how are they going to see it, right? So this is eyeballs, this is money. So marketing, 4 core principles. Now I've screenshot these from an Alex Hormozy video. If I select this, you will see. This is the name of the video here. What I would do to go from 0 to 1 million in 2026. So you can go and watch that video. I recommend that. But it's like an entire workbook amount of stuff in like 2 minutes. Anyway, so the core 4. So these are the core 4 ways to get people, right? Which is essentially into 4 quadrants. You either have 1-to-1, so this is 1-to-1, which is you to one other person, or 1-to-many, so this is you to a bunch of people. And then you have 2 different types of people, so you have warm and cold, either people who do know you or people who don't know you. So 1-to-1 for people who do know you is called warm outreach. This is you DMing your friends, for example, or LinkedIn followers even. 1-to-1 people who don't know you is called cold outreach. This is where you're like, hi, I'm Luke, and people are like, oh my gosh, get out of my DMs, bro. Then you have 1-to-many. For people who do know you, this is posting free content. This is making a personal brand. Then we have running paid ads, which is 1-to-many for people who don't know you, because this allows you to then basically, it's like posting free content, but you're going to pay money to post the free content because it's going to go to people who don't know who you are. So that's the 4 means of marketing. Now, for getting your first ever customer, I think that warm outreach 1-to-1 is generally the best. And I'll talk about why in a minute. But this here, let me go grab green. This is probably the best to get from like 0 to 1. But generally, you're going to want to move or kind of oscillate I would say into the posting free content or into the running paid ads world. This code stuff isn't what I've ever really done personally. I've run paid ads before, but it's a hard thing that you have to learn. You have to learn the whole system. Whereas posting free content builds your personal brand, it's basically like getting paid to market, and it can become your job like it has done for me. And so, posting free content, I highly recommend. For this, if you're just getting started, I'd say make little shots about your problem. We've all seen the shots of like the AI interview hacker thing, where basically some guy on an interview like this, and then the app pops up on his screen, and you can see that he's pretending not to read it, but he is. Anyway, so you can make little shorts videos, or if you want to make more long form videos, that will build more trust, but this will get more views. So this will be more views, this will be more trust. If you're making long form videos, go and check out my website. Right now it's YouTuber Systems. We're branding it out. It's looking good, man. Look at this. I'm well impressed with that. Anyway, so YouTuber Systems, if you want to make longer form videos, highly recommend it. It's free to use initially as well, which actually goes on to this next part, pricing. So basically for here, I'm moving so I can see the colours because the camera's in the way. We have pricing. Before we think about pricing, we need to think about getting from literally 0 to 1. And to get from 0 to 1, the best way to do it generally, people say, is free. When I say people say, I mean everyone says free is the best way. So basically, help people for free is number 1. Get them results is number 2. Get testimonials is number 3. Ask them to pay is number 4. So this would be something like this school community, for example, would be join for free for the first month, build your app, get that testimonial, and then you could ask them if they want to stay in the community going forward to rejoin. But you could also just instead scrap this 4th one and instead just keep that goodwill of this and use the testimonials to then drive people to paid. So basically get your first 10 people for free, get 10 testimonials, and then you can get them to pay after that. But if you're using a SaaS, you're creating a SaaS model, generally, I don't know if this is the right idea. I think that we can, depends what your app is, but I think generally a freemium model is better. What this ends up doing is it turns people into like their own testimonials, essentially. Let me make this a bit smaller. There we go. So essentially it turns them into like their own testimonials. Why? Well, you have, or well, first, what is freemium? Freemium is free to premium, or free premium, whatever you want to call it, but it's an amalgamation of these two words. Meaning free is at 0, but then you can upsell them into something, which is, I don't know, 100, right? Just for example. So we have a freemium example here for ChatGPT, where they have 0 as the free one, then they have Plus, then they have Pro. Now, the reason that they do this is because the free one at the beginning, this here is like the testimonial. This is your own testimonial. You'll go log in with your Gmail, for example, mess around, you like it, so you buy it, right? Or you start using ChatGPT, you want more usage, so you buy it. That's exactly what happened to me with ChatGPT and then with Claude. So with ChatGPT, it took me from 0, unpaid, to every month now $20. So they've made hundreds off of me now. And for Claude, it took me from 0 to 20, and then I had the exact same thing happen again. That then took me to now $100 a month I pay them for Claude Code, which is mental. So we have that freemium model, and you should probably do the same. But when you're thinking of how much should I charge, so this portion here, there's something you need to be aware of, which is this small, medium, large pricing structure. Now, you probably have gone to the shops or, to the cinema and thought to yourself, why is a medium $6.50 when I basically get, a little bit more than small, but I don't get anywhere near as much as large? So this is like totally fake pricing. And if you've ever thought that, that's because you're actually right. It is fake pricing. That's the whole point. So, for example, this is a decoy, which is $6.50. So if you come here, you're going to obviously get a large. Not obviously, but probably. It's going to skew people toward large. Why? because they see it's really now a competition between small and large, basically. But you're just drawn to the one which has the higher, unless you're really just like, nah, I have a budget constraint. But generally, you're going to be drawn towards the higher price here. So there's this small, medium, large. Example is like on your SaaS, you know, you could be like, you get 10 credits free or tasks you can add to time blocks for free. And then you can have your small, medium, large. Large would basically be like unlimited, so we'll just do infinite, unlimited. Small would be like, you know, 100 credits, and then medium would be like 1,000 credits. And if we've done the price, I don't know, let's just make it up. So this is free, this is, you know, whatever, $5 a month, this is 100, this is 10. So suddenly now you're going to be like, oh, well, obviously I'm going to buy 10. But, oh, well, I've actually just done the decoy wrong. We'll just skip that bit. And so as for pricing here, we can either go for free, you're going to get your 10 credits, so 10 tasks. For the small version, let's say that that's, I don't know, $5, this is 7, and this is 10. Then suddenly you're like, wait, hold on, why am I getting this is 10x that, but it's only 7, and this is twice the price, but I get an infinite number. So suddenly now you're going to be pulled towards this here. Whereas if I didn't give you any of this, I just said it's 10 for 0 or $10. No, 0 for 0 for 10 credits or $10 for infinite credits. This here, just suddenly now you're just like, well, why is it $10? Why isn't it this? Whereas here you're just drawn initially to like, oh my gosh, that's a great deal. So there's this kind of idea behind it. Now, if we're trying to figure out what the pricing should be, don't worry about it too much. I think honestly the best thing to do is if you do something like this here, which is just paste this into your Claude. I'm making an app about what pricing models are my competition using. Or you can go direct to Claude and write something like, how much should I charge this app based on my features and my competitors? You know, let's go and do it right now. Say, let me move my keyboard over. Right, so how much should I charge for this in a freemium model based on my features and competitors? And I'll go away and do some research. But whilst it's doing that, something that I want to consider as well is that sometimes see these types of SaaS products, you may notice as well that sometimes what happens is you'll get like an ads version. So you can have an ads version, and this ads version will be completely free. But then if you want a no ads version, this one would be, say, like literally could be something like, you know, $2 a month. And the idea here is you're looking at trying to just like scale this up so it's like a mass play. But the kind of problem with that, it sounds good, you know, just $2 a month. But then the problem, or like, it sounds like an easy solution, make it, you know, cheap, people will buy it, and then loads of people will buy it. But the problem then is that you need to, if we go back to our marketing, here, is that you will then have to post free content that's going to get a ton of views. Otherwise, what's the point? So it has to either be a massive, massive product, or it's just going to make no money. So we head back here, let's see. So it's given us this results table. Your app sits between task managers and AI time blocking planners. Here's how it comes out. So budget task managers are $3 to $4 a month, mid-range $8 to $15, premium $19 to $26. So here, you know, that you can see there's already like actually a kind of, what is it they call it? Well, the small, medium, large pricing model. So strengths here, we have voice, blah, blah, blah. Gaps, no Google Sync, no schedule, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. We could ask Claude to just integrate that. So recommended pricing is free, up to 15 tasks a week. Pro, 5 to 6 month annual or 8 a month annual. And there we go. So literally just 2, free or paid. But there we go. Consider a lifetime option, because that's kind of what I was getting at here with the ads thing, as I was then going to talk about. Basically here, you could then instead get you sometimes see like an annual one where it will be like $1 a year or something crazy like that, because it's something people will continually use. Or as you'd seen there, this 47 for a lifetime, because that seems like a really good deal. The only thing here is suddenly you're going to move from being a business that's looking to, get like its first customer and repeat it. So like say we have customer 1, and then you're going to repeat them every single month, and you're going to get whatever they're going to give. So $5 a month. And we could say here that then as long as a customer was going to be here for 10 months, it's better than a 47 lifetime. But the 47 lifetime will get more cash up front, but it means that then you have to go and focus on acquisition again. I always get acquisition. ACQ? AQ? Acquisition? Oh, I don't know. That'll do. But then you have to focus on customer acquisition, which means you're always just looking for new people, which can be quite hard. Really, you want to try to leverage as much as you can from a single customer, so that the LTV, lifetime value, you want that to be high. You don't want to have to continually be trying to find new people. You want to continually be getting more money from the same people, which sounds possibly awful saying it like that. But anyway, so to get our first customer, we're going to go and we're going to warm outreach to people. But first, we need a system that we can integrate for people to actually pay. And that's where Stripe comes in. So that's what we're going to do next. So it's time to start getting paid. From our previous video, I've then got all this information and just simply added it to the Kanban, or got Claude to add it to the Kanban, should I say. And then it's added all this stuff in here. So up next we have monetization. We're going to add in this. So we're simply just going to say, walk me through setting up this Stripe integration. And it should be really simple. Basically, we just have to add a product with some prices on Stripe, and then we just have to give the API key to Claude, and it can then get it set up. Although we'll have to set up a webhook as well, but don't worry, I'll walk you through everything. So the first thing is it's going to go and explore and see exactly how it wants to add this in. Whilst it's doing that, if you come on over to stripe.com and sign up, you might have to verify yourself. If it says verify yourself as a business, if you are a business, verify that. Otherwise, you just verify yourself as an individual, and you're like self-employed in doing this, which is fine. So once you're here, you'll see you have your API keys, your publishable and secret keys that you can get. If we go over to this side, you see there's a product catalog. Inside here, this is where we're going to add our products so that we can actually start to get paid. So if we come back, it should, in a moment, wait till I move the recording button. It always pops up behind the camera. Right, there we go. So how should we handle database schema changes? Right, so raw SQL via, that's fine. And then where should subscription status be checked on the front end? Just a recommended is fine. Which features should be gated behind Pro? Voice AI and unlimited tasks. Voice AI and focus on unlimited, just unlimited tasks. Yeah, probably that, because I think the voice AI, we need that as the core feature. Let's submit these answers. Right, so we'll let it go away and figure out what it should do. We'll have to open up Supabase because it will want to make changes. Let's see, Supabase. I want to make changes to our project. So which one is SQL editor here? So if we Command A, delete that. We'll delete this thing on the right. There we go. Come back here. And we'll give it a minute. It will come back with the SQL query that we should run to change the database backend, because it'll have to add a field to say whether or not someone subscribed. how many tasks they're using, etc. And it'll go and figure that out. You don't have to do anything, which is amazing how in a previous life, like 2 years ago, you'd have to make all of this stuff all by yourself, which is mental. So let me make sure I'm on the right one. There we go. Look. Time blocks. Boom. Right. Then SQL editor. Nearly made changes to YouTuber systems there. Not ideal. So let's leave it to it and I'll see you in a minute. Right, so it's went now, or it's gone and done all of this stuff, updated all the files. Next we want to do the manual steps and then we'll be good to go. So the first thing is Supabase SQL, run the create tables subscriptions migration. So is that file here? I can't see it, so I'll ask for it. Give me the SQL in a file for one. So I'll ask for that. So I can just copy and paste it from here. Now the next one is Stripe dashboard. Create product prices, copy price IDs. Let me see. And API keys. Backend dev set this. Stripe webhooks point to blah blah blah. Right, so let's go through these one by one. This here is our file. So command click opens up the file. Let's copy that. We'll go over here to Supabase. And on Supabase, we'll paste that in. And then we'll run it over here. Boom. Success. Perfect, right. So say one done. Oops, that's the wrong place. Down here. One done. Walk me through 2. So now we'll go and create some instructions for number 2 as well. But basically it's saying create the products and prices. So first of all, let's just go to here. We've gone already to this landing page, which is a product catalog. This is where we're going to add our products and prices. So click add product. And this will pop open here. And let's go and get the information that it's asking for here. So create an account, we've done that. Go to here, add this. So time blocks pro. That's the name. Boom. And then what's it saying for pricing? Price 1 is $8 a month. So let's go recurring. We'll go 8 USD a month recurring. Monthly. And then we can do more pricing options. And then we can go a 1 or recurring, I suppose, as well for this one. But we'll do is it annual? So recurring, monthly, billed every 12 months. So recurring here, monthly. How do we bill every 12 months? Because I've never done this one before actually. I think instead what we'll do is so we've added this 8 a month and then also click plus here, and this time I changed it to yearly and then just put in the 60, make sure that's at dollars, create that price, and now you can see that it says 2 prices. If I refresh the page, I think this will work, but we'll double check and see. 2 prices. There we go. So we have our default and the other one, and we can change this one and make this one as the default price for example. So it's default price. There we go. Right, so we've created those. After saving, click into each and copy the price ID. So let's go over here. We'll click here. Should be able to copy price ID. So say to annual. That's price ID. And then we'll get the monthly price ID as well. Copy that. Boom. Right, and then 3. So we now need to go and get the keys so that it can actually authorize itself into Stripe. So go to developers, API keys, copy secret key, blah, blah, blah. So let's go do that. Copy API key, developers down the bottom left, API keys. From here, we want to get our secret and publish That's cool. So we'll click on that and that will copy it. Come over here. We'll go paste that in. And then we'll come back over. Reveal live key. Reveal. Then I'll authorize me as me with my finger. It is I. Let me in. There we go. Click to copy that. Come back over here. Paste that in. And it will be able to figure it out because it normally knows what it's looking for at the beginning. You can see here, PK, publish key, public key, secret key. Right, so we have now that to get in. We need a webhook so that it can actually do the invoicing essentially. So go to developers, webhooks, and add endpoint. So we'll come back over here. Developers, let me see, webhooks. And here we want to add a destination. Now, API version, we're going to just go for the latest current version. Public preview, we'll just go for that one. This is fine. And then endpoint URL is this here. So let's copy that. That's our back-end destination. But we do need events. So normally for events, let me see. Yeah, it's got it here. Checkout session completed. So let me copy these first. We'll copy these, paste them in, then I'll delete some of them. So the first one here is checkout session completed. The next two are customer subscription updated and customer subscription deleted. So we'll go updated, deleted, and updated. I feel like it will also need created, but I don't know. There we go. I'll just select it anyway. Click continue. We'll go here and we will get this one. Come back over, click continue. Endpoint URL. Put that in there. Create destination. And boom. There we go. So now it will need that. Click reveal on the signing secret and copy this WH-sec. So this here, let's reveal that, copy that, come back over. I'll say number 3, paste that one in. Oh, wait, no, that's 4, not 3. 4. Then number 5 is set the backend vars. So that's here and on render. So I'll just go and get those with any future expiry. And there we go. And so we can actually test it using this as well. So for 5, we'll go and we'll get these values. So secret key, webhook, secret, ID, right. Oh, right, it's telling us we need to add that into render. I was wondering. I thought I've already added these in. 5, you add them where you can and let me know where I need to change them. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy all of this so that I remember which are which. So I don't need to go and get them again. Press enter and we'll let that run. And most of that's working. I'm just going to open up a doc. So we'll go docs.new, paste it in here. So I have all of this information here so that I can then grab the actual keys that we need without having to go and look for them again. Because honestly, I don't know why they do it, but it's always a nightmare to try to get API keys and to hook this up. Like you'll have noticed from the Supabase hooking that one up, when it's like, we need this, 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 all just to log in. It's like, mate, can't I just give you my username and password? Why is this so hard? Don't give an AI with dangerously skipped permissions your username and password. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So anyway, so we have this. There we go. Save. Right, done. So we need to go here and add in those. Right, so let's open up render. We'll come over here. I'll open it up manually. Dashboard.render.com. From here, we're going to go to TimeBlocks API. And from here, environment on the side, you can see we have these environment variables here. So let me see which is asking. Stripe. So we need to add these. So we'll click on edit and we'll add new variable. I suppose I actually could import it from my... then I'll have to download it. We'll just add 4 new variables. We'll come here, we'll copy this. I suppose actually I can just get it straight from here. So secret key, let's copy that one in, paste them in here. Nothing exciting going on here. These are the kind of tasks where you try to delegate them to AI. So I would sometimes open up Claude in Chrome and get it to work here, but it would take longer than it would take me to do it. So you resort doing it yourself. So price IDs, if I come down here, what have I got? So this is the annual price, is this one. So let's come over here, paste that in, annual price. Now we can go and get the monthly price. Boom. Then we need the webhook secret and the secret key. So webhook secret key. SK is secret key. I think that's that one. Let's bring it over here. Secret key. And finally, the webhook secret WHSec. Boom. And then from here now, you can just save, rebuild, and deploy. And that will save and rebuild the whole thing using these new environment variables. So you're going to have to give it a couple of minutes to get up and running. You can see that the deploy is starting. You can come here and have a look at it working and familiarise yourself, but honestly, don't worry about it, would be my opinion right now. So we now should have this working. What I'll do is I'll just start writing in here and give this a minute to actually deploy properly, because you see it's still building. And I'll say deployed, now test, and add Stripe tests into your test suite. And I'll wait for this to actually run, and then we'll run that. So it is now built. As you can see, build successful. Oops. Build successful. It's now running as well, which is good. Let's come back here and paste that in, and we'll let it go now and run its test. Let's see how it goes. And I guess in the meantime, what we can do is if we come over here and go to time blocks, we should be able to see a way for us to bill it now. Let's see, is there a billing feature? I can't see any. The menu's hidden away as well. We need to ask AI to sort that out. Oh, yeah, there we go. He's not pushed. Yes, let's push to main, get everything sorted, and then we can go. Cool, so it should be done. Let's go check it out now. Let's come over. So a little side note here is I've gone over, it's now published everything, but I can't see from where I am right now how to actually get settings or billing or anything. I'm thinking actually that it's not pushed the right code up, or it's not deployed yet, because it doesn't have the cool using the voice. Anyway, besides the point, before we find it, I just wanted to show a quick prompt of the kind of way that I would prompt it. So right now I'm saying, here's something you need to fix, this settings. And then I started to think of ideas. So I was like, oh, it should probably pop up when it reaches a task limit. And also, you need to handle it gracefully. If the AI, the voice AI, takes like 11 tasks, what's it going to do? Is it going to just fail out? But you also need to say here, add the gracefully as a nice to have right now. We need to focus on just having users be able to find the billing. Lol. But basically, I'm trying to get it to leverage this Kanban priority that it can. So here, for example, we've got some feature gaps, P1 and P2. Now, these are, of course, not being implemented right now, and that's because you can direct it to be like, only focus on this P0 level, for example. So now, we'll send that in. I'll get the billing ready, and we can go see it. So it turns out it hasn't even merged to main. That's why. So yeah, unpublished commits on the local main. So yeah, Netlify is still running the old code. Now a way that you can check this out is if you come on over to Netlify, here, select on your app, so time blocks, let's select here. And you can see that it was last published at 10:17. It's currently 12. So right now, if we go to deploys on the left hand side, we can see, there we go, it's just now run this one here at 12:05. And you can make sure that it is still working because it says deploys from here, GitHub. So the last time that it deployed from there was at 10:17, which then makes me infer, all right, so maybe it hasn't merged because this should automatically run every time it merges. Cool, so there we go. Give it a couple of minutes, and it should be done. So when it's saying Python build here, instead of just waiting a couple of minutes, another kind of top tip now that we're getting a bit more advanced in here, is that we can just go to render.com and I'll show you how we can watch this deploy. Wait, we just did this a minute ago anyway, actually. Here we go. Yes. So we can come here. Let's go back to dashboard and then come to time blocks API. You can actually see from here that it is currently deploying, but if we, and then the last time it was updated, but if we select on it, again, we can see this coming up. And again, it's still deploying, as you can see here, as you can see by the loading. So we can just leave that one. Cool. So we'll give it a minute, and then we'll see that it should all be done with billing. Finally. Right, I've just refreshed it, and it's working, looking good. So we can now go up the top. We can see it says free. If we click on that, upgrade to pro. There we go. So best value, upgrade 60 a year, monthly, 8 a month, 5 a month. Brilliant, man. So it'd be cool if it had the free version as well, so you could see what you were upgrading to. So we need to add that in. I'll just come back here and say that. Add a free card on the billing so we can see what we are upgrading to. And then if we come back here, let's see if we click upgrade. Check out Stripe. Boom! Oh, that is cool. That is cool. Well, obviously, we'll need to fill this kind of thing out, which we can do. We'll just ask AI how, basically. But we now have an actual way to do that. That's amazing. How do we go back home now? Back to calendar. There we go. We've got a calendar view and our focus view. Task list. Focus? Nah. But there we go. Honestly, I am well chuffed with this so far. I think it's coming on brilliantly. I'm going to go and try and see if I can upgrade or update the UI as well. But we'll see how we go. But there we go. We have a full SaaS that we can now make money from and get our first users. Let's go, man. So, again, show me in the community. Message me. Message each other, showing each other what you're building. Get each other to try it out. Send it to me and I'll try it out. You never know, I might even be your first customer. Let's go.